Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahm, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Dhyanamoolam Gururamurti, Poojamulam Gururpadam, Mantramulam Gururavakyam, Mokshamulam Guru Kripa. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Question: how can this be illustrated? Analogy. With the king seated on a throne, a lamp is illuminating a royal court. The court also has a minister, servants, and other members of the assembly who are being enthralled by the performance of a dancer and musicians. Now you need to visualize this if you can in your mind, whatever I am reading now. While all are seated, the court is illuminated. After the performance, even when all have left, the vacant court is still lit. The lamp is burning and illuminating the court. Likewise, in the royal court of gross body, the witnessing lamp is I. The Chid-abhas is like a king. The mind is like a minister. Pranas are like servants. The intellect is like a dancer. The 10 senses are like the musicians. And the objects of these senses are like Shabda, etc. are the other members present in the assembly. All of them, in a wakeful or dreamful state, are witnessed by I. In the state of deep sleep, when none of them are present, their absence is also witnessed by I. Got it? So this body is like that royal court, and now you can extend and expand this very example to the whole universe also. That this whole universe is like a royal court. And in this royal court, Chid-abhas is like a king. Now, a new word is now coming. Chid means the conscious. I would prefer that you absorb the word Chaitanya, not conscious. Conscious is again very loose word, very close, but still it has its own psychological connotations which are being used by the Western psychiatry. So I don't want people to be confused with because when the psychologist says conscious and unconscious, he's definitely not talking about Atman. They have no clue about it. But now this word is used by them also. So it's kind of a commonly shared word, but has absolute different meanings to it. When we say Chid, then Chid means the Chaitanya, as we have already seen, the one who knows who one is, one who knows who the other is, and doesn't need any help to know oneself, and neither the Anatman or the inert can ever know the self. That's why the self is Chaitanya. Now you cannot use, if you go into the English dictionary to see the word conscious means what? Aware of and responding to one's surroundings. That is what the English web minister is talking about. Now, it is nothing close to what Vedantic conscious word means. That is why when all the translations which are done of Vedantic or Upanishadic scriptures, they have done quite a messy thing, because they have this meaning in their head and they have written it. So all the English readers get pretty confused about what conscious is. And then they have these great orators and these motivational speakers, and they have those who think now that they have a command on these scriptures. Now they begin to talk, they begin to write, and their books are laced. I don't have to name the books, which are very, very popular by these very, very new age writers and speakers. But they are just bringing, I would say, more darkness in name of light. So it says the one who is aware of and responding to one's surroundings. And they have given example, although I was in pain, I was conscious. Right? Although I was in pain. Or they say, they give a second, and that is that having knowledge of something, we are conscious of the extent of the problem. So surely the word, and they say the similar sounding words, conscious is sometimes confused with conscience and conscientious to another word. Now let's say if we go into the word conscience, then it says a person's moral right of sense of right and wrong viewed as acting as a guide to one's behavior. Example they have given, he had a guilty conscience about his desires. Now if we take this conscious, then the conscience, now this is now something which is more to do with the social conditioning of any society. In some society, some things are okay, some things are bad. Now one thing is good, one thing is bad in different society, in different races, in different religions. So this conscience and the conscious word, if we take as per the dictionary, definitely the Vedanta's conscious is not the same conscious. That's why I had asked the translators that you should be actually by second or third chapter of this book should be giving away the word conscious and just use the word Chaitanya. Because as such, anybody born in Europe or America or in all these away from Bharat, those who are born, for them as such this is something very startling and new. So when they are learning new philosophy, why can't they learn few new words also then? So we say Chaitanya, Abhasa means reflection. So the reflection of Atman in the mind is called Chid-abhas. When we say I, in usual sense, now there are three I's, I would say, in the body. One is at a very animalistic level, where you see this body as I. Then you move on to the path of religion, and then you get to know that this body is not you, and bodies come and go, and you move into another body. So there they are trying to associate your I with your mind, the Antakaran. So now this I would be the mind one. Now I am bringing a third level into this, and that is, first understand there is I, which is pure Atman, neither body nor mind. But this pure Atman has a abhasa, as a reflection in the mind, which creates an illusory I. Now this illusory I is the Chid-abhas. It's a communion of two. One is mind and one is the pure self. And this communion brings forth the third I, which can be called Jiva, which can be called Abhasa, but the true and the real word would be Chid-abhas. Reflection of whom is the question. Let me say reflection of Atman. So for now, just understand this, that this Chid-abhasa in this royal coat of body is the king. Mind is like the minister. Pranas are like the servants. Intellect is like the dancer. 10 senses are like the musicians. And the objects of these senses, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Ras, Gandh, what we say in Sanskrit, English it would be sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. And then the another 5 of the senses of action object is what? Feet, hand, tongue, anus. So these 10 senses have 10 objects. In the case of senses of knowledge, you just gain knowledge, but in senses of action, you are performing certain activities. So altogether these 10 indriya or the 10 senses and their 10 objects are the members present in the assembly. Now all of these are working, functioning in the state called wakeful state, or Sanskrit Jaagrat. Jaagrat word means all woken up. So all the senses and mind and the intellect and the objects, when everything is functioning, that state is called the wakeful state. And when apart from mind, subconscious and ego, rest all go to sleep, that's the dream state. And when the mind too goes into the lap of darkness and only the subconscious and ego are remainder, that is called the deep sleep, or in Sanskrit we call it Sushupti. Sushupta means hidden now, camouflaged. So wakeful, dream and Sushupti, 3 stages. So now as if we can see it very well, this is a state, it is called the wakeful state, Jaagrat. But when you sleep, then the dream comes. And now that dream state is witnessed by who? It says the self-witnesses. Who witnessed the drama of the waking state? It is the self. I did it. And when everything goes into that zone of darkness, then who witnesses that the deep sleep occurred? Somebody has to observe. Without the observation, nothing is. Even when you say, oh, nothing was observed, when then who observed that nothing is observed? So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, and or we can say the wakeful dream and the deep sleep state are witnessed by I. Question: how does one understand the same? Answer: in the wakeful state, I illuminate and know everything through the senses and antakaran. In the dream state, without the senses, I still illuminate everything through the antakaran. And in the state of deep sleep, I illuminate everything without the aid of antakarana or senses. So I am the one constant non-changing entity. Mind comes and goes, senses come and go, intellect comes and goes, and the dreams are very lucid and flowy and changing and very transitory. The wakeful state seems that is same, not changed. It was yesterday, it was same room. A week ago, it was the same room. A year ago, it was the same room. So things are not that quickly changeable. And deep sleep, it's zone of darkness where nothing is known. The mind and the intellect just the tools through which the knowing was happening. Now let me say, the tools through which you know, in that case, the tools are not knowing, but the one who is using the tool knows. Question: how else can this be illustrated? answer, another analogy is coming. Now you need to pay attention to every line and word and try to create an image in your head. A clay pot with 5 holes has a holder within that has a oil and wick that lights the lamp. It illuminates the oil, wick, other parts in the clay pot, the 5 holes, and through them a veena is a musical instrument, a bouquet of flowers, a jewel, a plate, delicacies, and bottle of perfume, all kept in this order, are illuminated by the holes. The lamp, like the sun, illuminates the universe and is omnipresent. Okay. Likewise, the grass body has 5 senses, just as the clay pot has 5 holes. In the lotus of heart, mind resides and holds the oil with the wick of the intellect. The intellect is now the wick, and the oil is the mind. On it lies the Atman like a flame. The flame of Atman illuminates the lotus of heart, oil of the mind, wick of the intellect, all other parts within the body and the 5 senses. It also illuminates and knows the objects of these senses like Shabda, sound, etc. through them. This flame is the Ishvara who illuminates the whole universe and the world we see. And this flame of the lamp is the conscious one, meaning Chaitanya, the all-pervasive, omniscient, absolute truth. This is the second illustration on this subject. Now in this they have brought 2 things together. One is the micro unit and also the macro. In one line they have brought the whole universe into it. In first line it's saying, it's all talking about that this light is in the body. And through these five senses holes and the 10 senses holes, the light is emitting to all the external objects. But in the very next line, it has brought the whole universe as a clay pot. And in this clay pot, the big mind, which is called Mahatattva, is the oil. And the Ahankara, the Hiranyagarbha, the another word for it, Hiranyagarbha, is considered to be the wick of this macro universe. And the flame which is burning in it is the Ishvara. Ishvara, the one who has the Maya with it. The Brahman in Maya is the Ishvara. So here they have brought, they are trying to explain that this light, this flame is what? And that needs to be, the flame of the lamp is Chaitanya, number 1. And is all pervasive. Meaning, if, again I like to bring the example of a huge, large size mirror which has thousands of smaller mirrors on its all 4 sides. So the one reflection of any object is formed in the center, which is large and big, but then there are those thousands of those reflections which got formed in those smaller sized mirrors which were around it, or maybe on it also, inside and out, both places it is there. So the object might is just one, but the reflections are many. Similarly, the Chaitanya is one only. But because minds are in multiple billions and trillions of number, so the mind is like the mirror. So in every mirror there is a reflection. But that doesn't mean that there are many Chaitanya of whom many reflections are being formed. Chaitanya remains one only. This is also called in philosophy Ek Jeevavad. Ek Jeeva, one Jiva only. There's just one Jiva only. And this Chaitanya is all pervasive. And this Chaitanya is omniscient and is absolute and is truth. Now, truth, word is a bad alternative which we have to give while translating the word Sat. Now the Sat word means that which exists, might be more closer than truth, because truth is used even in socially. Oh, he spoke an untruth, he spoke a truth. So are we talking about the same truth? Hence the word Sat, Satya, as is said in full Sanskrit form, and in a little lighter form in Hindi we call it Sat. Sat means that which exists, that which is non-changeable, that which is eternal, that which is formless. And then comes along that which is Chaitanya, that which is Ananda, that which is all-pervasive or Vyapak. So this is second illustration. Question: what can one conclude after knowing this? The conclusion after knowing this is the above mentioned 17 constituents are not me, not mine. They belong to the 5 great elements, and I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot who is distinct from it. That's the whole. It's not just about just your one body mind that this book is talking about. It's talking about the whole universe. And it's saying that you, in your purity and in your reality, are the observer of this one body mind, and also the observer of this whole universe, all the bodies, all the minds, all the intellect. And now, if you are talking about I, which is the Chid-abhas, the reflection, then surely there are multiple reflections. So there are multiple I's. But if we talk about what's the source of this reflection, then that source remains one only. There is no second source, so there aren't two existences which are coexisting. It's just one. Now we can't say one because there is no number 2. Hence, in precision of the language, we use the word Advaita. Dvait means duality, so Advait means non-duality. So those who say God is one, they really don't know the science behind the words. In Sanskrit, every word has its own precise meaning, and you can't use loosely any word. Like I said about the Swasti na Indro Vridashavaha, and then some people will say Swasti no Indra. Now when you say no, then it means no. N-O, no, English no. Don't give me any blessings. So there we are saying Swasti na Indro Vridashavaha. So the exact words are going to be like a bullet of a gun will hit the bullseye. For one, it has just 26 alphabets. Sanskrit comes with 52 alphabets. So how many are missing? That's why anybody who wishes to understand Vedanta in its true glory should definitely learn Sanskrit, should be able to understand the terminologies, and that's how the darkness pertaining to all this self and everything will go away, not before that. The 17 constituents are not me and not mine. In what manner may one understand this? That's the question. In the 5 cognitive senses, Shrotra, if a word is heard, I know that. If it is not heard, I know its absence. And as well, thus I am not Shrotra, it's not mine. It belongs to the Akasha element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of clay pot who is distinct from it. I'll explain this first one, and then somebody will read, because all the 4 remainder senses and then another 5 senses, and their function and their object will be mentioned, and which is the element of what element that particular sense is functioning for, with that will come. If a word is heard, I know it, and if it is not heard, I know it. That is the key. That is the key which has to be absorbed. And every time it will repeat and help you to reflect upon. And that is, I am the onlooker onto the clay pot who is distinct from it. That's the key point. So the senses will be mentioned, their object will be mentioned, their element will be mentioned, but every time there's one thing only which is to be from your side now, to be pay attention to it, feel it, listen to it, find in your own system where that sense is. Use your intellect to grasp how it is functioning with the help of that element, and so on and so forth. Aishwarya, read.
Second, tvacha. If it perceives touch, I know that. If it does not perceive it, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not tvacha and it is not mine. It belongs to the air element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. Third, chakshu. If they see a form, I know that. If they don't see a form, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not chakshu and it is not mine. It belongs to the fire element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. Fourth, jiva. If it savors a taste, I know that. If it does not savor a taste, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not jiva and it is not mine. It belongs to the water element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. Fifth, grana. If it senses smell, I know that. If it does not sense the smell, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not the grana and it is not mine. It belongs to the earth element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. 6 to 10 in the 5 senses of action. Sixth, vak. If it speaks, I know that. If it does not speak, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not the vak and it is not mine. It belongs to the space element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. 7. Pani. If the hands work, I know it. If they don't, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not Pani and it is not mine. They belong to the air element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. 8. Pad. If they walk, I know that. If they don't walk, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not Pad and it is not mine. They belong to the fire element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. 9. Upasth. If it excretes urine and semen, I know that. If it doesn't excrete, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not Upasth and it is not mine. It belongs to the water element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. 10. Guda. If it excretes feces, I know that. If it doesn't excrete, I know its absence as well. Thus, I am not Guda and it is not mine. It belongs to the earth element. I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot, who is distinct from it. 11th to 17th in the prana and the antakarna. 11 to 15, 5 prana. If the prana function, I know that. If they don't function, I know its absence as well. Thus I am not the prana and they are not mine. They belong to the interfused 5 great I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot who is distinct from it.
So who is living the life in this body is just the prana. And here with the stupidity you say, I am alive. You are totally being disrespectful to the prana. It is the prana which is making your body function. It is the prana which is allowing the breath to happen, the prana. Udan is the one which is making your heart and brain and all the four senses in the head function. Samana is staying in the small intestines. It is that which is assimilating every food which you have eaten. Apana is the one which is helping you to move things downwards, and that's how all the excreted roughage is removed from your body. And even the child born, the child's birth is happening because of the apana. And Vyana is the reservoir energy, prana, which is present in the whole body. Now you tell me which function you are doing. But you are just taking the claim that I am alive, I am breathing, I am digesting, I have given birth to a child. It's nonsense. Body is like an instrument which is being run by the prana. And if the prana goes, the body is just a very smelly and very quickly degrading to a piece of garbage then, which needs to be disposed of quickly. So prana is keeping this body alive. And this body is neither you nor is this prana you. Prana are functioning. Now prana are functioning with a very different mechanism. The prana will function in this body as long as that particular set of your prarabdha karma are functioning. For that one particular lifetime, there is a set of karma's scores which will be settled. So as long as that is there, the body functions. Now, when that gets totally exhausted, the body will just drop dead. No notice, no pre-informations, no permissions. Body dies. So what is there in this to be called me or mine? And yet foolishly, like an idiot, we consider this body as me, and then, oh, I am so alive, I want to be alive, I want to live my life. Neither there is life in the body if there is no prana. And you are such a fool that you don't even understand what prana is, but you want to understand life and enjoy the life. Here you had ice cream or a fruit or food or something, and they say, oh, what a life I have, I'm enjoying. Now that food was enjoyed by the jiva, by the tongue. And the food was ingested because of the prana. Sometimes when the prana functioning gets hampered for various reasons, then the person cannot swallow. Can't even drink a sip of water. Something goes wrong in the kidney, you cannot urinate even a drop of urine. And here you are saying, this is my body. It is the apana vayu which is making the urine to come out and the excreta to come out. And it is the job of the eyes to see, and the prana, the alochak pitta, is making it function. And the sadhak pitta is going to analyze what you saw. That is the tool and their mechanisms. Where is this I which you have fitted into in everything? Somebody is having a great sex and say, oh, what a life I have. What a life I have. I remember Swami Akhandananda was asked this question by another fool who said, what's the use of listening to Vedanta? And Swamiji said, oh, there is definitely no usage to you. And may you enjoy all the joys of life, and may your wife remain younger so that you can enjoy and go. I'm not going to explain you what's the usage of Vedanta. Now again, the genitalia functioning is dependent on which element? Huh? Jal. Jal moves, water moves always downwards. That is its habit. That is how it functions. And the Jal element is the ruling element. Now when this element, because of person's misusage of the body's mechanisms, the urogenital organs begin to deteriorate. Then a person has a body, a person has an organ, but that will be a non-functional organ. What you call the impotency will come into it. So that's why even for a householder they say that the regimentation is very important. Like today is a solar eclipse. This is the worst day for any couple to have sex or even to conceive a child. So worst day. But then there are world over people who don't know this. Like now the scientists are talking about this much, that don't look at sun. At one time everybody was saying, oh, what's the harm? We will look at the eclipse. What's the harm? What's the harm? But now scientists are saying, don't look directly at the sun. The very thin layer of the retina will get burnt. But our sages had been talking about, don't eat food. Don't cook anything. Sit down and do your mantra chanting. Keep your digestive system totally relaxed. This is not the day to eat food. This is not the day to indulge in any sensory pleasures. So the prana, the apana prana, is making your urogenital organs function. The udana prana is making your heart, brain, throat, eyes, nose, mouth, ears function. So what are you doing in this? Nothing. So this body, this life is a whole show of the prana. And the prana are I would say the connecting bridge in between the body and the mind. Now mind has all the seeds of the karma, and the body is which will bear the fruits of the karma, and prana is the bridge. So as long the prana is in the body, we call it prani. And the day the prana is not there, then we call the body murda, dead now. No more prana in it. The Dhananjaya prana, yes, will slowly and surely do the deterioration of the remainder body, whatever is there. But this prana is the main reason this body is functioning, and this prana is neither me nor mine. And I am the onlooker, I am the observer of this body. Mind, if it has thoughts and counter thoughts, I know that. Mind doesn't know itself. Mind is known by me. So if it doesn't have thoughts and counter thoughts, I know its absence as well. Thus I am not the mind, and it is not mine. It belongs to the interfused 5 great elements, and I am the observer who knows this, like an onlooker of the clay pot who is distinct from it. Intellect, if it takes a decision, I know that. If it doesn't take a decision, I know that as well. Thus, I am not the intellect, and it is not mine. It belongs to the interfused 5 great elements. I am the observer who knows this, and like an onlooker of the clay pot who is distinct from it. In this manner, these 17 elements are not me and not mine. Know it this way.